Here's 50 things I learned from building 50 trees in 50 days. These are subjective, so we're not going to take them too seriously, okay? Ready? Day 1. Most trees need more air than leaves. I didn't really understand that at first. Day 2. Depth plays a big role in how thick your canopy is perceived. And when you're working on such a small scale, it can really help give it some definition. Day 3. Shape is important in selling the story of your tree. So for instance, on this day, we needed a really gnarly shape in order to sell the idea that it was a spooky tree. But even thinking back to like day 2, the willow tree, you need to sell a very droopy shape in order to sell that it's a willow tree. It can play a really important role. Day 4. It's important to have a clear picture or reference for what you're making. I kind of fumbled the bag on this tree, and I really regret this. I was kind of stuck between what I thought was a good method of trying to do this style of tree, and I ran into a wall here, and I was not very proud of this one. Day 5. Branches don't necessarily need to connect to the canopy, but you can tell. You can always tell. I didn't really understand the importance of branches at this point in the challenge, so it's a lesson that we learned today, but we don't really start to implement until like day 35, honestly. Day 6. Leaves don't necessarily need to connect to the trunk, but you can tell. Yeah, there's a lot of things I could have learned just by looking at a guide, but for whatever reason, before I did this challenge, I decided not to watch any kind of tree guides, any kind of how-tos or whatever, so I basically went in blind and taught myself everything. And this was another one of those hard lessons that I learned early on, but really didn't start to implement until the later days of the challenge. Day 7. Lack of shape in the branches leads to a lack of shape in the canopy. If your branches don't really have a form, your canopy is going to follow suit. It's important to nail the shaping with the branches at this stage, because it's a lot easier to get that down here than it is to try and force the canopy to look good if your branches aren't in the places that they need to be. Day 8. Scale is hard to master. If you don't have it down just yet, don't try and go mega. This was one of those instances where I was just way too cocky with my abilities at this point in the challenge. It turned out okay, but I mean, obviously, if you compare it to another similar tree on day 49, these are way different. And it's not to say I didn't learn anything from doing this tree so early on. I think there was a bit of arrogance going on here. Day 9. It can be more fun to make up the story of a tree than it is to build said tree. So I had a lot of fun coming up with the idea or the lore behind this tree, but when it came to actually applying it and building the tree itself, getting it down in a way that made sense or like made visual sense and wasn't super noisy was actually really tough to pull off. And I'm glad so many of you ended up liking it, because I was really unsure whenever I was making this tree. Day 10. I like palm trees, and they're one of the easiest trees I have built in this challenge, and I gotta say, one of the first ones that I was actually proud of. And honestly, I still think the palm tree holds up even at the end of the challenge. And we did it so early on too. Day 11. Combining two of the most hated blocks in the game results in a pretty neat truffula design. The shining aspect of the prismarine blocks kind of adds to the magical feel of these trees as well. Kind of underrated in my opinion. Day 12. Glass is useful if you know how to use it. I learned there's a skill gap here that I may or may not get over. Day 13. If people are persistent enough, you might just unlock new pieces of heartbreaking lore. Go check out that video if you want more context. I will not elaborate because it's too sad. Day 14. Trees aren't always a clean canopy. Sometimes they have multiple sections, and they look better when that happens. I really started to learn here the effect that different layers can have on trees. And again, this is something that I learned early on, but not really understand how to implement it until much later in the challenge. Day 15. It's fun to reinvent game mechanics in weird and interesting ways. I never really thought of the dragon egg being more like a seed, but after doing this challenge, I kind of really like the idea of having some kind of an ender tree tied to this mechanic. I think it could be a really cool addition for like a mod or something. I don't know if it'd work in vanilla, but it'd still be really cool to see. Day 16. A lot of people did not know this is not even a tree. This is a vine, but a lot of people requested it, so, you know, I gotta give in to the masses. Day 17. Trunks need to get progressively smaller as you get taller into the tree. It makes sense when you think about it, but if you're not really aware, or if you're like not thinking about it, it's really hard to pass up and realize that you've gone to the top of your tree and you're still at the same width that you started at. Don't do that. Don't do that. Get smaller as you get taller. Day 18. There is such a thing as using too many different blocks in too little space. It's called block vomit, and this is chunky. Day 19. I don't hold as big a grudge anymore for the concept art that we lost, but it's fun to bring up, so it'll happen a couple more times. Day 20. This is not how you make an underwater tree. This is just a coral reef with extra steps. If you ever build an underwater tree, do something else. This is just coral. Don't do this. Day 21. Branches equal canopy, but too many branches and we've lost a plot and it doesn't look good anymore. Day 22. This is the tree I want added to Minecraft next. No contest, I don't care what people are saying, this is the tree that needs to be in the game next. It goes in a very underappreciated biome, it has the perfect wood color to add to the game next, and it's a cool tree. Case in point, made. This is the next tree I want to see added to Minecraft. Day 23. It's important to face your fears, but equally important to realize this is a video game and I was scared of a tree. For context, up until this point, I basically avoided all spruce trees, and then I got over it and I did them, and actually they're kind of one of my favorite trees to do now. But a lot of the learning that I had to get over was just understanding how to approach these trees and figuring out my own method for it. So I didn't really conquer the fear so much as I learned how to understand it in a way, if that makes sense. Or, you know, maybe it is just a video game and I'm getting a little too philosophical right now. Day 24. Gradients are good. Lack of canopy shape is bad. I really liked how the gradient of the trunk came out, but when I got to the very top of this tree, I kind of lost the plot here, and the canopy just completely disappeared from me. I had no idea what direction I was taking with it, no idea how to do canopies at this point either. This was just a hard learning curve. I really liked half of this tree, but then when I got to the top, it fell apart. Day 25. It's hard to decorate a Christmas tree in Minecraft. I thought it was hard to decorate a real-life tree. Minecraft is way worse. Day 26. Leaf gradients are really good. I will never use them again. Day 27. 90% glass and 10% glazed terracotta is a terrible strategy, but we're learning. Day 28. Less does not always mean more. Sometimes your tree can end up looking malnourished, which, given the context of the tree, could work, but I think there was a better way to do this one. Day 29. Glass sucks, and I hate using it. The top comment of this video was, "Looks like a matchstick." Thank you. I appreciate that. Day 30. Well, maybe glass is okay. I'm starting to figure out how to do this. Day 31. Glass actually might be a secret weapon. I'm starting to develop a strategy here. Day 32. Yeah, okay. Glass is the underrated goat of colorful trees, and I have gotten over the skill curve. I will elaborate further, but not in this video. Day 33. I learned that lots of people made tree houses when they were younger. Day 34. If YouTube doesn't work out, I will be trying my hand at stand-up. Watch out, Tommy in it. Day 35. Gee, this tree sure would look better if it had some kind of gradient, or any more effort. Day 36. Branches need to get much smaller the further out from the trunk they get. Not just a little smaller, much smaller, or else your tree is gonna look really bulky. Day 37. There are weeping birch trees, and really most trees can be turned into weeping trees. I did not know that. Day 38. Some trees are just hard to make in Minecraft. Also, gradient. Day 39. Trees can have knees. Yes. That is all. Day 40. I've gotten the shaping down, but the branches are still too thick towards the ends. Day 41. I've pretty much nailed the glass method now, but it works better on bigger trees. Day 42. Trees in dry biomes adapt to survive in really neat ways. For context, this tree can just stop growing whenever there isn't water, which, now that I say it out loud, maybe sounds given, but just go watch the video. It sounds cooler in that one than it does right now. We're gonna move on. Day 43. This tree would be better on a much larger scale than what I did. Like the mega scale. This would look so much better if it were gigantic. Day 44. Lots of trees do in fact like fire. That was pretty cool to find out. Day 45. I should have listened to my gut and never attempted this tree, or at least given myself more time to actually experiment with this, because it did not turn out. I didn't have any expectations for this tree, but it didn't meet any of them, and it just didn't. But so many people asked for it, I had to do it. Day 46. Putting all these new skills together really makes these trees take a lot longer to finish, but they're starting to get a little bit better. Day 47. Okay, sit down for this one. Glass can be used for snowy effects as well. kind of reinforcing that whole greatest of all time underrated building technique for trees that I've been trying to reinforce here. But I'll hold my tongue. We'll save that for another video. But this is really cool. Day 48. Fences as upper branches are optional, not 100% necessary on the smaller scale. Sometimes you can just let the leaves do the shaping for you. If you add too many fences here, it's gonna look way too busy, way too cluttered, and at this scale, it's gonna look terrible. Oh, and side note, listening to fake plastic trees while creating fake digital trees is a core memory I never knew I needed. Day 49. I think I really honed in on the method for these kinds of big trees, but this one turned out a little too similar to the redwood for my liking. I'm not really sure how I do it differently. It looks good, it's just not quite what I was going for. Day 50. I think I've discovered the best possible way to place leaves, and I did it on the very last day of this challenge. And I don't know if I love or hate myself for that, but it feels like the culmination of everything I learned it poured out for this last tree, and it came out really well. I had no notes, no regrets, nothing like that. But I really wish I figured out how to do this leaf placing method before day 50 and had another chance to experiment with it. But I will be taking this method forward, and if I can hone it in and master it, you guys will be seeing way more of this method. Trust me, it is so cool, and I cannot wait to share with you guys. Also, really hope that no one else has come up with it before, and this is like common knowledge that I'm just completely unaware of because I didn't do any research before doing this challenge. But there you have it. I'm gonna stop rambling. 50 things I learned from building 50 trees in 50 days. I am sick and tired of saying 50. Let me know what you learned along the way, and if you made it this far in the video and you still don't know what I'm talking about, you should check out this video right now. Okay, that's it. Like, comment, sub. Love ya.